Payne Haas v. Isaah Yeo. The big question for NRL fantasy coaches. Now, some started with Yeo. They expected greatness. They got a 30-point game last week. Others started with Haas, and they have been rewarded gloriously. The big question is, do you sell Isaah Yeo and do you buy Payne Haas? Well, today we're going to be diving into the stats. I'm Longy, former world champ, and we have a legend here with us, Monty from Quickfire Fantasy, who's joined as the producer of the show. How you doing, mate?
Not too bad. You know, I was only just saying time last year I was a viewer and now I'm a part of the team talking all things fantasy. So it's pretty good.
Mate, so good. I mean, half the people who get involved started out as viewers. And, left a good comment. I thought, you know what, let's get into it. So, look, Monty's a legend, guys. You'll see a bunch of him this year. Now, in terms of this one, I want you to give us the lay of the land as a bit of a debut. What are you seeing with Payne Haas?
Now, round one, Payne Haas, he looked unreal against the Roosters. Came out with an 81, I believe. He just looked unreal. Every time he touched the ball, you just knew something was going to happen. You just knew something. And then you thought to yourself, could he do it in round two? I don't know. And what do? He came out with an 85. And if we take a look, 160 meters a game, 29 tackles, no missed tackles this season. And the big one, 5.5 offloads per game. That's easily, it's given him, as you see here, 16 points. And it's just unreal watching him play. And the question is, can he continue it? That's the number one question.
Yeah, that's the hard part, right? Because you're looking at a 61 to 83 jump. Now, not many mature players jump 23 points or 22 points in average. I will say Madge Maguire is using him very differently. So we're seeing less minutes and we're seeing him come out as a real wrecking ball where he's looking to break tackles. He's looking to offload. He's looking to create attack. And with the run of fixtures coming up against some easier teams, I'm pretty terrified as a non-Haas owner of what he's going to do. But I guess the question here is, can he maintain this increase? Can he maintain 5.5 offloads a game? Because that's 16 of the 22 points have come from that increase there. So at 75% of the increase, it feels like a strategy. And I don't see any reason why Haas couldn't keep offloading 5.5 times a game. Like, he is so physically dominant. He gets the arm free. Teams will try to stop him. But if they try to wrap the ball up too much, they'll get thrown off him and he'll break tackles instead. So I look at it and I feel like it's somewhat sustainable. What I will shout out here, though, is an 83 average is probably not going to happen this year. Like, it's probably going to be a case of there are going to be some games where Haas comes out, he plays 50 minutes, which we did see in round one, and maybe doesn't get a few of those attacking plays and scores a 50 instead. So that's still within the realm of outcomes. Like, it's not going to be a case of 83 points every single week. That's what I'm going to shout out here, and that makes him a bit riskier as a captain. I'd still say he's priced at 65 now. There's 10 points of value there, right?
There is. And the way, as what you said, is that Madge has been playing with him, it's obviously go out there and just rip and tear. That's probably what Payne Haas has been told to do, and he's been doing it. So there is value there, and it's just, can he continue it? I think they got Cowboys, Dolphins, Tigers all in their next 3 games, and there's no reason why he can't keep scoring like this.
Mate, scary option not to own your team. So that's Payne Haas, guys. We're going to talk about Isaah Yeo, and then we're going to do the comparison here that sort of answers the question, should you trade Yeo to Haas? Now, for Yeo, 826K, you've got a 40K drop in price here. You see the average has dipped down, and look, it's only 2 games in 2025, so don't freak out. But 65 down to 49 for Yeo. We saw him score his lowest score since 2019 on the weekend. So it's pretty jarring. It's unprecedented territory. He's a guy who basically didn't score below 50 last year when he played full games. Now, how much do we read into that? That's going to depend on the stats here. And the stat sheet isn't pretty. Like, there's a lot of drops in a lot of different areas, which makes this feel like it may be a bit more systematic than just a fluke. So run meters are down, 159 down to 136. We've got tackles down from 37 to 33. I'm not reading into that too much. Missed tackles up from 0.6 to 3.5. Offloads from 1.2 to 0, not reading into that too much. And then tackle breaks down from 2.9 to 1.5. So he's running the ball less, tackling a bit less, and there are some negatives creeping into the game as well. What I would say is he's been in 2 very high-scoring games, and Penrith don't normally play in those sorts of games. So the tackle count reduction, I would attribute that to the games, right? More time standing under the post, more time waiting for kickoffs. I'm not reading into that too much, so I'm going to write that off. But the missed tackle count, I know you were having a look at this earlier, Monty. What was the stat you read there?
So you look through Isaah Yeo's stats for the last couple of years, and the last time he missed more than 2 tackles was round 25 2023.
Mm.
So all of last year, Yeo wouldn't miss more than 2 tackles. And in round 1, he missed 3. And last round, he missed 4.
Yeah.
So it's very unlike Isaah Yeo. And does that come down to no Fisher Harris? Is Yeo trying to be the one who sets the tone? We're not too sure, but it's definitely not good.
Yeah, Fisher Harris absorbed a lot of that tough contact. They were missing Papali'i last week, Liam Henry round 1. Maybe he is trying to step up and generate more of that hard contact, that line speed, which doesn't reward you in fantasy at all, really. So, yeah, Isaah Yeo, it's a bit concerning. I wouldn't say, look, 49, I think we can pretty confidently say he's not going to average 49 this year. That's not going to happen. But a reduction down to 60, high 50s.
It's definitely on the cards. Although I wouldn't panic off one game. I wouldn't be, all panic stations. You kind of just have to stay calm. But we probably could see a decrease, not a huge one, but definitely 1 or 2 points for sure.
That's what I had him pencil in for preseason too, because he was priced at that 65. He's historically been more that 60 to 62 kind of guy. And that's kind of where I had him, that 62 mark. So, yeah, I would say that's about right. If you had Yeo, because this is the big question, if you had Yeo, would you sell him and would you sell him for Payne Haas?
It's arguably the question of the week. It's a very tough question. I mean, for non-Haas owners, you're watching the game behind the curtains. You don't want to watch what happens.
Yep.
And then with Isaah Yeo, you're almost locked in that 50, 60 score with no upside. Whereas Haas, we'll go through the comparison in a bit, but Haas just has that upside. And can you wait a couple more weeks missing out? It's a tough question.
Yeah, I mean, let's look at the stats right now because it's about the same in terms of run meters. So these were when were these comparisons from? By the way, they were
the first 2 games at the start of the year. So this is how they both started the year, and you can see the tackles. You don't really read into the tackles. Haas hasn't missed a tackle even last week against the Raiders. They went straight through them.
Yeah,
and it's just the offloads. That's just what's elevating Haas this year.
The big thing I'll shout out here too is this is the Isaah Yeo prime stats, right? So Isaah Yeo last year compared to Payne Haas this year, right? So even if we assume Isaah Yeo gets back to normal, which is that 160 meters a game, the 37 tackles, no missed tackles, these are still stats where Payne Haas is absolutely dominating. So I think the question is less about is Isaah Yeo a hold and more about how do you go get Payne Haas? Because if you want to go get Payne Haas, anyone is collateral damage because he is just so good if you think he's going to maintain it. Now, for me, I'm looking at this and the hard parts are the 6.5 tackle breaks and the 5.5 offloads. I don't know. I mean, I came into last round sort of thinking about it and going, all right, I need to see Payne Haas do this against a good team. Now, Canberra's a good pack. We said that last week. He came out and he did it against Canberra, 85 without the attacking stats, but they didn't win the game. And that worries me a little bit. I think it was more the edge defense than the middle, though. I think the middle was strong, but Horsburgh and Hosking were fantastic in that game too. So perhaps they think about this strategy. I wouldn't say that they're going to change Haas in future. It's just an intent thing. So do you think he's going to keep coming out with that intent? I think he will. I think the days of Haas playing sort of 70 minutes a game and being a bit of a plotter are behind us. I think he is going to play this role going forward. Pat Carrigan played big minutes in that last game. They got Hetherington in there as well. Guys like Jensen and Wilson can absorb more minutes too. So for me, I feel like it's maintainable. But if I had Yeo, I'd try to find another way to get Payne Haas. Like there are some guys who are less, more pseudo keepers, less of keepers than Isaah Yeo is. I'd be trying to, move one of them across instead, like trying to cash out someone, for example, and then upgrade someone else to Payne Haas. Like, a Mitch Barnett and Hosking, for example, you could sell the 2 of them and get, Matty Nicholson and Payne Haas. Like, I'd be looking to do that rather than selling Yeo. That's my advice there. So try to keep Yeo, but if it's the only way you can get Payne Haas, it's like theoretically, I want to say no. But from what I'm seeing, I can't say no. Like it's almost too tempting.
Yeah, it is. It is very hard looking at Haas all week, and you almost, as what I said, if you don't have Haas, you'll be watching behind the couch. Like it's just one of those things that are you happy to sacrifice Yeo for Haas, or will it be almost like Metcalf last week? If you move on Yeo, he could against Melbourne Storm could be a very defensive game. Yeo gets back up to a 60, 70. You just, it's.
Yep. So we're saying Yeo is like let's sort of give our summary here because we're
Yeah.
saying Yeo is a 60s average still. Yeo is not fallen off. Yeo is still that guy, but Payne Haas. I mean, if you had to pencil in an average for him, right? So right now he's averaging 83. He's priced at a 65. So anything from sort of 70, even lows, even the high 60s, he becomes a very viable option because he's a keeper, right? So you have a lower standard in terms of cash generation. But can he average 70 is a question I'm going to throw to you first.
I would say maybe not 70, but high 60s.
Okay.
I reckon 67, 68, 69, because he could have, games where Broncos are up by heaps and Michael Maguire doesn't put him on for that second stint. Like he just kind of like rests him but definitely a high 60s average, I reckon.
See, I'm going to go low 70s. I think that
Yeah.
little 72, 73.
Oh, that'd be...
Yeah, and the reason for that is, look, you're talking about the outliers where he gets a rest. Absolutely. There's going to be some games where he scores 50. I'm not denying that whatsoever. But what I'm looking at is this run of matchups. And we've seen 6.5 tackle breaks a game. We've seen the try assist. We haven't seen any tries. Now, this run of fixtures they've got coming up, 5 very good matchups. 2 tries in 5 weeks is not obscene. A Payne Haas try will be a try, a line break, and probably 3 tackle breaks, plus some meters there as well. So you're looking at a try that's close to 20 points of value. You score that 2 and 5, that's what's that average out about 40, plus 8 points there as well. So you bump up to, those 85s become, 90 average, and then you take a few lower scores and you bump back down. I just think he gets into the 70s, like 70 to 75 is kind of where I'm sitting here. And it's obscene to say, but just watching it, like it makes sense. There's no flukes in this. Like it is how he's going out to play. He's been coached to play like this, and he looks damn good. And as a Blues fan, I'm excited to have him in the Origin team because if he's playing like this, he's the best prop in the comp.
Oh, 100% he is. And it's just, he just looks unreal. Michael Maguire's using him really well, and it's very hard not to have Payne Haas.
So we're saying pretty much a guy that you really want to get. Maybe, I'm still tossing up my trade. So just personal experience, I'm maybe prioritizing Nicholson over him just as a cash generator because I think cash gen is still really important at this point of the year. But man, if I had some expensive players I wanted to get rid of, I'd be targeting Haas hard. I think if you can get Haas into the team, I think he should be the guy you go get.
Yeah, I agree. If you can get Haas, get him. Maybe not. If you can have Yeo and Haas, like what you said, if there's another alternate way to get Haas, 100%. But I probably wouldn't be moving on Yeo just yet.
All right, guys, that's the stat analysis. Going to give you a quick summary here. So Payne Haas, have a look at these numbers here. Big point here is the offloads, 1.6 last year, very low offload count, up to 5.5 offloads a game this year. Very intentional strategy. And tackle breaks are up from 5.3 to 6.5, but they look more intent driven. And I think that 6.5 could go even higher than that as well, which is a terrifying prospect. The meters are up as well, but I would say that's not a significant stat input. And then missed tackles, they'll increase too. He's not going to miss 0 tackles this year. So Isaah Yeo, numbers are down. I would say he bounces back. He's still a low 60s guy. If you've got him, he's priced at what he's worth. Try to keep him. But if it's the only way to go Payne Haas, it feels like an upgrade. Monty, any last words?
If you can get Haas, get him.
Wise words. All right. Cheers, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Cheers for jumping on, Monty.
No worries. Thanks for having me.